Podcast. My name is Brandy Hofer, your host. Thank you so much for being here today. I sure do appreciate your time. I'm really excited about this episode where we talk about online learning and a whole bunch of like post-secondary education and just like life stuff in general. And it's such a great conversation. I look up to Stephanie in so many ways. I love her content because she's always shooting to aid and uplift others. And of course, it also supports her own practice. But there are so many ways to be a creative, and it's okay to be multifaceted. It's okay to do more than one thing. Heck, I do like 7 things all at once. And like recently I noticed in the theme of tax season, where every artist learns what they make at the end of the year, it's super fucking depressing. By the way, you're like, oh wow, I just poured my heart and soul into this, and I made minus $1,000, which happened to me in 2017. So if that didn't break my stride, I just don't know what could. And so I like this trend online because you see these artists and you think, oh, they've got it all figured out. And then you see, and I love the authenticity and the vulnerability that it takes to share your income. Because you're like, they're super popular online, so they must be just making a living off of art, which I tried to do for so long, and it didn't work. I'll be totally honest with you. It was okay because I was staying at home with my kids at the same time, and it was helping kind of, but then I would go over finances and etc. And the more I learned about it, and the more I'm like, I need some like sustainable and passive income here. And I can't keep doing this because I'm working my ass off and I am burnt out, and this is just not this. We joke about it in the Michelle Lake podcast, actually. we said we could work at McDonald's and have benefits and get free McDonald's, and they have like scholarship programs and be paid a lot more than we are. But I no longer am there. Like, who knows what life brings and what season you're in whenever. But I have scaled in like insane amounts. Part of that growth was just like thinking not outside the box, but like trying things. Some things didn't work and I had huge losses. Not huge, but huge to me, who remember made minus 1,000. So like, losing 3,000 here or whatever. And so that was a huge loss. It's hard seeing those numbers flow in and flow out when you're a single person business owner. I have a small team now, but again, they all do their own thing too. And they just like, I'm one of their side projects. And I kind of like math, but I'm not good at it. So that's really where I ask for a lot of help. One woman who helps me, Kelsey, she loves math and analytics, and I'm just like, good for you. And she's probably like, good for you, go keep painting, girl. Right? Everyone is passionate about something. So if we work together and we support each other's passions, that's where we can all thrive, right? So I through online education, and Stephanie talks about this quite a bit. Like, she started, her story is so much different than mine. She started at the same time as she was like getting into creativity, and she went through art school, and she had these same like similar experiences in that, but she got into online education. I avoided online education because I was like, I'm not a teacher. If I teach, people won't think I'm a serious artist. That held me back for more than a decade. And now what education, teaching, and sharing what I know, and shifting that mindset into like abundant mindset, and sharing what I know with people, sharing my skills. No one's going to make art like I do. And like, even if they did, I wouldn't care. And I want to share what I know with them so they can thrive and they can have fun and they can connect to their creative passion. That is just like, and then having having those people reach out back to me and saying how much it helped, or in their experience, or with the mural class, like I had no idea where to start. I had no idea what materials to use. Thank you. This like took all the stress away. And then the mural class just came out, so I've got like a little bit of feedback, so I don't know how it's helped people over time financially. But for me, the first year I got into murals, I increased my net profits by 394%. So I stepped out of, barely making 30,000 a year on just selling art alone, and then like expand. Like each year I've grown by that one not simple. Murals aren't simple, but they're figure outable. They are a problem you can solve, and it's so much exposure. It's also a really great way to help your community. So I love sharing what I know, and I love Stephanie because she shares what she knows, and she's open, and like she had no idea who I was, and I was like, I have questions to ask you. Will you come on my podcast? And she was so amazing, and like we're totally on different she's down under and I'm up high, I guess. So the time zones, I think Australia is 22 hours ahead. Anyways, it was tough to figure out a time, but we made it work, and I'm so glad we did, and I know you'll enjoy that too. You can also connect with us in the way of our free Color Me Happy community, where we uplift one another, and we talk about community and what that means in this episode too. Like seriously, we all rise together. No one's got a magic potion of how to make life easy and how to make it work. We're all figuring this out. We're all learning, and that's okay. We're humans, and it's never going to look the same. It's never going to be perfect, and you might as well try to see your everyday ordinary as extraordinary. As always, thank you for being here. Enjoy this gem of an episode. Oh, good. Yeah, you're next level. You're next leveling it. You're capturing every conversation.
Happening.
I feel like that's with artwork. Like I've got like, gotta make sure the video's on, gotta make sure the time lapse is on. Like it's kind of insane, but you kind of get used to it, which is kind of terrible.
Totally. It becomes like part of the practice, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't mind the whole, I know people complain and stuff about, moving into reels and stuff like that. But if you think about it as another creative outlet and another medium to shine, it's really fun. I wish it was around 100%. In like 2014 when I was launching my first like solo collections. Like I'm like, that would have been insane to share those process shots. Like, yeah, I think it's a valuable tool that we have.
100%.
So welcome, Stephanie. 100%. We got into
Thank you.
It's so nice to meet you.
You too.
I've been devouring your content for a long time.
Yes. Thank you.
She's such a badass. And a lot of people mention you. They're like, oh yeah, they just like, well, it's kind of like Stephanie, or like she does this or that, and it's so great. So I'm glad that you agreed to chat, because I have so many questions for you. Right. I want to know like where it all began. Like I talked about like, investing in equipment and stuff, but like where did this all start? Like you're an artist, but when did you decide to be like, I want to just be more multifaceted and share what I know?
They kind of came at the same time, to be honest.
Oh, really? You were just starting on both ends, and like you
on both.
Wow.
Both. Yeah, actually, I think the personal development stuff kind of came. No, that's a lie. It did actually start at the same time, because I was going to art school at the same time as I was like getting involved with that community. So they kind of blossomed alongside one another, which actually was really helpful, and really like it really like made sense to share in that way and also be learning at the same time. So really, like, I've always just been learning and sharing as I go. Like, it's never really a, finished, like, here's what I've learned thing. It's like, I'm learning this. You guys can learn it too. Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And like, it's nice to do it that way. Like, it's really useful because it's fresh and it's exciting, and it's fresh and exciting then for your listener or your customer or anyone invested in taking what you're offering. Because actually, it's been quite the opposite for me. I've been involved in our world for almost 20 years, and
Wow.
which makes me feel old, but like, I'm not old. But it's just the way it is. I just went to school right when I graduated, and and it's hard to go back and remember what it was like to start from scratch, right? And share, like, it's like a whole mindset shift on, like, how did I feel at the very beginning of learning how to paint a mural? Like, how, and so you, like, have to step into that person for that day. And it's kind of exhausting because you're like, oh my gosh, that's so intense. Like, that's so much stuff and it was hard. So I'm glad I'm doing this because it can help people. But like, that one ended up being the biggest undertaking I ever did. I don't know if you've painted a mural before, but it's just like it's just like, it's a mind fuck because with materials, right? They're so big, and to make them archival and weatherproof, and like, that's the hardest part. Not only are you scaling your work, and that is like a different process to, say, working on paper or canvas. So that's like step number one is like deciding you can do it and finding a wall and a customer and a client, and then like the contracts, client relations, design process. Like, I've made so many mistakes on the clients. Like, I totally trust you, I love what you do, paint away, and then they're like, I love it, and then like a week later they're like, I'm not sure. And you painted this mural. So it's the same, like, whole thing. So like, I've made those huge mistakes. I don't want anyone else to come into that position because it really sucks. So because sometimes people don't know what they want, and that's what like Procreate's for on an iPad, where you can superimpose it into their space or on their exterior wall. And so like, all of those steps that you cannot skip. And then, of course, like, executing. Do you use a traditional grid? Do you use a doodle grid? Do you like there were 36 lessons. I was just like, this is like, I can't even condense it. Like, I can't skip a step. And there's so many wall surfaces. Anyways, I was in that hard. And has there ever been a course like that, or for you, where you were like, this is crazy, but I need to share it and I need to get it out of my head and like share it with people?
As in something that I've learned that
one of your offerings that you've done that you were like, this is very intense.
Got it. Yes. I find making courses to be quite intense. Just the level of output and the level of work that it requires to put a big one together. I find it quite intense, but also extremely rewarding. Like, it's both of those things at the same time. And, something that I've just recently learned that I'm going to carry forth with me into the next course that I make is this quote. I don't know who it's from. I wish I did, but they said, teach them what they need to know. Don't teach them everything you know. Because if you try and teach them everything you know, it's like, I'm going to give you the world, and then you're never going to even watch it. Like, people don't like watching hours and hours and hours and hours of content. So I'm taking this into the next thing that I make, is like, what do they need to know in order to fulfill the thing that I've said that this offering or this course is for? But yes, to answer your question, 100%, like, some of my courses have definitely taken, it's like, I can't speak to this actually properly because I've never given birth, but I liken it to birthing something. And I don't think birth is that easy for a lot of people.
Birth is,
I don't think it's
I've
meant
done
to
it
be.
3 times. And I can say from experience that it's not easy. It's never the same and it's unpredictable.
Right. And I think similarly, making things, birthing a body of work, birthing a course, creating something in that way, we could put the same language onto it. Like, it's not easy. They don't happen the same way. It's always going to require something of you. It's probably always going to take something from you as well. There's an exchange there, I think. Well, I think I can only speak to this like metaphorically, but when you're birthing a child, what you're giving up is your maiden in order to become a mother. And then when we think about creating a course or creating a big offering, it's like, what am I trading for that? What am I giving up? Am I giving up the part of me that's like, I can't do this, I can't teach? I'm trading that for the next level version of me that actually is a teacher, that actually does have that archetype within me. It's a really unexpected rant from me today. Anyways.
Has anyone been negative in the way of, like, I've encountered this in the art world, that you can't be an artist and be a multifaceted creative and share, like, and teach it, like, you're not a successful artist if you share those parts?
Yeah, the those who can't do teach, that adage. Actually, the only people that really come at me are the people that aren't doing anything. Are the people that, like, there's a saying, I'm full of sayings today, but there's a saying that's like, you'll never be criticized by someone doing more than you. And I think that that's so true. Like, the only people that have shit to say are the person that has no profile picture, they have no followers, they have nothing to say, they're not saying anything, they have nothing on their feed, and yet they are like, oh my God, you are scammer, like, they have all this shit to say, but they're not in the arena doing it themselves. They're the only people that I get criticism from. I never get criticism from people who are actually doing stuff.
Yeah, that's so true. You reminded me of a quote, actually, Theodore. Oh no, next one. It's in my book. See if I can find it.
The critic one, isn't it? It's not the critic who counts.
It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done it better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Yes, I have goosebumps. I just think that speaks to everything.
It's like one long perfect sentence.
One long perfect sentence. 100%.
It's not, but it is. You know, like, it could have been like one of those beautiful writing long sentences that is on the same, like, the whole thing holds magnitude. There is not one extra word in there. I got really obsessive when writing my book. I was The Writer's Way. Where's all my books? The Writer's Way was such a beautiful teaching guide to writing books. And you learn about those long, beautiful sentences that don't need pause. And that is one of them. And it's so true. People have to move. I mean, I talk about this too in my book and on my podcast with my friend Jeff, that jealousy is not a bad word, but envy is dangerous. Jealousy is telling, right? Like jealousy is telling
I want that.
telling you that I want that, and it's not a bad thing. It's and the reason Jeff and I talk about it is because I was just like in the throes of motherhood on my street, and I heard that Jeff, my neighbor, who's an author, which I didn't know at the time, was featured on Forbes, best-selling author featured by Forbes. And I was jealous, and I was like, why am I jealous of Jeff? Like, I'm literally just making art in my house. Like, why?
Yes.
I don't want to write a book. And then I figured out not too long later, like a year later, I was like, I know what the title of my book is called. And like,
yes.
And so we talk about that all the time, and actually I talked about it in my book because I think it's such a useful tool where people don't have to think about it in such a negative term. And you will fail. You will fail, but at least you tried. And
100%.
and I think it's a dangerous cycle to be caught in, sitting there envious and then trying to bring others down.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as somebody who has actually done that in the past, I don't think people really know that they're doing it. And I think I would only know I only know that because I've done it before. And I thought that I was being so noble and like I'm better than that. But actually I was just jealous. I just wanted what they have. And so now when people come at me, I'm like, okay, like I can have a little bit more compassion for it. But I think, what you speak about with the jealousy piece, jealousy versus envy, I think if I could go back and tell my like younger artist self that, like that the things that you hate others for, or the things that you're like, oh, fuck them, it's actually what you want, and it's okay to want those things. You're allowed to want those things, and your wanting of those things is actually going to pull you towards those things.
Totally. 1000%. It's so, and it's funny because it's like things you never think that you wanted. Like public speaking, I would always like cry, and now I'm like, I really, when I'm at like a motivational talk or at like a women's conference, I'm like, God, I want to say something up there because the power of that room, once you taste it, it's like there's nothing else like it. And I actually I spoke at a women's conference, and it's so beautiful. And I was nominated to last year for the Women in Business Award. And I didn't win, but I was so sad. Like I was very happy for everyone nominated because our community is great. But I was so sad because I had written this epic speech about like lifting up women. And I was sad that I didn't get to make my speech. I didn't care about the award. I really wanted to make that speech to women everywhere.
But
totally. It wasn't the moment, and that moment will come at a different time, and I'll have a speech ready. Right? We have 100%. To trust in that.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
I'm jealous that your day is starting, right? Like, what time is it there?
It's midday.
Yeah.
And
I love
it's nighttime.
Like mornings. It's night. It's bedtime. Yeah. It's like the time where like, why am I going to podcast downstairs? But I wanted to talk to you so badly, and I was like, I'm gonna make it work. Yes. But I also got to skip the whole bedtime routine, so sometimes it's okay.
That's a win.
Yeah,
that's a win.
It's a win. I love to be there though, because like they say such cute things at night, which you don't want to miss it.
Nice. Oh,
yeah,
totally. What do they say?
Super sweet. Well, sometimes Finn is like, Mama, I don't want you to die. And so you have to have this long conversation about, and why do we have to die? And that one happens a lot. Or just like the simple, like, I love yous, or laughing over a book, or learning about their day. Something that you know, we live in a world full of distractions, and we're distracted, they're distracted. So it's like everything at that hour is stripped away. And so it's almost our only time to connect, where no one's like, you know, worried about going out with their friends or outside with their friends, or like looking at a TV, or me grabbing my phone to answer a message from work or whatever, right? So it's it's like an unveil. The veils are down, and it's a beautiful, beautiful time. So
I love that.
Thank you. So this happened for you. When did you start going to art school?
I went to art school in 2016 for the year. It was a 2-year thing, and I went because I thought that I couldn't paint. I went because I thought that I sucked. And when I got there, I was like, actually, this sucks. I'm out.
Really?
Yeah, really. I hated it. And it was partially because I'm not going to tar all art schools with the same brush, because I think a lot of art schools are really good. But I think a lot of people have this similar experience of being like, wow, they're trying to stamp the creativity out of me instead of inspire it in me. And it put a fire in my belly, to be honest, to create what I wanted to create. And it also made me be like, I'm gonna make my own art school. But yeah, I left after a year. I was
don't
like,
reach too high. I know a lot of people who've created their own art schools, so still possible. And you have really think, when you're thinking about what you're doing, it really is.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the online version. I didn't think I would do an in-person one at this stage of my life, but yeah, creating the like online, painting courses and like artist community and like that whole thing was totally directly influenced by my shit experience at art school, and how non-creative it felt, and how much I felt like they were trying to like bash the creativity out of me instead of like lift it and inspire it within me. Such an interesting experience that is what some art schools have come to, and it just becomes this like hoop jumping, bureaucracy bullshit, when it actually it should be about creativity. So
I came
interesting.
from one school that was fantastic, and like it felt like a community. I still talk to those people today. I went back for a residency in Red Deer, and then I transferred like way across the country to a more prestigious school, and it was so highly competitive, and like I can relate to what you're saying. It's also it was just like, it almost felt like even we were competing with the professors, and I'm like, it was a struggle to go almost every time, because you'd walk out of there defeated and thinking that, and there's no wrong way to do art, which is now I know. And I feel it's important too to share and be inclusive, and there is a positive way to critique. I don't love critique because I have such like, I have post-traumatic experience, like from those experiences. Like I still remember how I felt. It's like when you're bullied, no one forgets who that was or when it was or what, like, well, we don't know why, but no, I will never forget that. And I think you're using it to, like, if that hadn't happened to you, like, you wouldn't be uplifting and encouraging others. So you can't say that like, I wish it didn't happen, because now you can, it's like you're creating this beautiful environment for other people to thrive.
Yeah, and it's totally directly influenced by that experience that I had. So obviously it was fated, and I would love to also have, actually I kind of had that experience, like a good experience of an art school in my actual school in my, like, from my probably 13 to like 18. I had a great experience with the art program at my school. But yeah, that experience of traditional is not quite right the way, but like art school, Of course I had to go to the one that made me feel like shit, because of course I had to feel this fire under my ass to create the thing that I wanted to create. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like that was a formative experience that was meant to happen that way. So yeah.
And these things will keep on happening. Like, we will always
100%.
encounter these obstacles and these people in our lives telling us that we can't. And I do think it says more about them than it says about us. I had this like really last year or the year before, I can't remember. I had this really bad experience with an art consultant or critic, whatever she was. She was from my same country and had like a lot of stereotypes about like where I'm from coming into the conversation. Didn't do a lot of research, and basically just like, she's like, you can't be a mother and an artist and be taken seriously in the art world. No gallery is going to represent you. Like, why are you like, she was like looking at the screen. She's like, why are you sharing that you paint with your kids? And I was like, it was 2 hours. I'm not even sure how I sat there. I would not have, like, today in the evolution of like having a platform and a podcast and all those things, and and having like empowerment from a community, like I would have been like, well, this conversation isn't working for me. And why? But I did sit through, because I'm just like that kind of person. Like, I like I thought it would be a good experience, and until I like sat on it, I was like, that was not a good experience.
Wow.
And so it actually turned into like this big, I don't know if you've heard of the Art Queens. So it's an art community based out of the United States. You would love it. I'm part of the Art Queens. It was founded by Ekaterina Popova and Alicia Puig with Create Magazine. Maybe you heard of Create Magazine. So I actually went on their platform and did this big talk about Find Your Fire. I called it Find Your Fire, and how to overcome these critics, and how, like, what it can do. And so it is and creating a mantra, right? And after that, I was like, my creativity is worthy and powerful, because when people knock you down a few notches, it takes a little bit to come back out from it. Like, it's not like overnight.
Totally.
Like, I feel better today. You don't, like,
totally.
I think it's important to take it and totally just fucking burn it down.
Yes. I love that.
And Kat, actually, Ekaterina Popova, that's why she started the Art Queens. She's like, she had a bad experience with another person in the art world, and she's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do it my way. I'm weird and quirky and shy, and I love like mystical, magical. I'm going to start the Art Queens. And it grew. Like, she had the magazine, but she didn't have, like, she wasn't doing courses or content or coaching yet. She's just like, I'm going to start with a membership. And her coach, I guess, said, like, people don't typically start with memberships. Like, that's not the order of that. And she's like, I just feel like it's right. And then we all came together, and we continually support one another, and we continually it's really beautiful. And I think when we stop competing, there's so much power in that.
100%. And something that you just said really made me remember something that I read. I can't remember where. Again, my head is full of like things that I've read, but not so much the source that it came from. But somebody was saying that if you interview, or that they had interviewed a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, and one of the main like common things with entrepreneurs is that they had a really shit experience being employed, and that they don't want to, they want to create something that doesn't have that. So I think it's interesting, actually, that, myself, that's been my motivation, on the level of art school and on the level of employment and like all of that, and that was actually also her experience, and that actually a lot of businesses are founded out of that place of being like, this is toxic culture and I want to create something that's not. I want to create my own thing.
Yes, totally. And it like it, and I've gone on to create my own community too, where, you know, we're just positive and it's full of inspiration and we're there to uplift one another. And it's the same, like, I've never encountered a community where people have been like, share away, tell us what you're doing, everybody, you're welcome. It's safe here. It's like, we want to know and we want to have you talk about it, and we want to share it, and we'll pay you to present. Like, I've never come across in the 20 years in this like crazy, like, it was such an oasis in like a desert of and I feel like at the beginning of like with the timeline that you're talking about your education, I think I have about a decade on where we're at here. So before social media, before Facebook, I was in art school. Just at the end of it was Facebook. So I guess I was going to school at the same time as Mark Zuckerberg. We were going to school at the same time. And then the last year it was like, hey, I'm Mark, want to be friends on Facebook? I don't know if anyone else remembers him friending everyone at first. Yeah. It was like, I'm the founder of Facebook, Mark. Wild. And it was like this dorky picture of him just like at his computer desk.
That is wild.
Yeah. So basically, I remember it just being like a really male dominated space. And it was like very gallery model, still strongly gallery model, but like a few communities were popping up, but it was like, girl, you don't belong here.
And now the internet has really created this, like, actually you can do it your own way kind of thing.
Fuck yes, it has. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness, indeed.
Because no one was inviting you into their club and no one was inviting you to talk about it.
Yeah, very gate-kept kind of.
Oh my gosh.
I'm really glad that I didn't experience that. But I think even still, like that kind of culture, that gatekeepy culture around the arts is still kind of like, it still happens.
Oh yeah.
But I think with social media and with, you know, being able to create your own platform, you're able to kind of give that the finger and be like, actually, no, I'm going to do it my own way. Like, I can do it my own way now. Like, you don't get to tell me whether I can do it or not. I'm going to do it regardless of whether you think I can do it or not, or whether you want me to or not.
Oh, exactly. And it's just so freeing. And I'm not saying it's easy, because what you do is not easy. What I do is not easy. True. It's very a lot of self-motivated showing up.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And that takes determination, routine, consistency, and what's the word I'm looking for? It takes a lot of self-discipline.
Yeah. And what's the word I'm looking for? Consistency. Keeping on doing it even when it feels like it's not working, and just keeping on and keeping on and keeping on, consistently showing up.
Do you have a or not even a creative routine? Do you have like a really solid routine that you stick to, that is like, you know, your secret to success?
I thrive in routine, and it's something that I've really fought against, actually, and be like, no, I'm a creative, I can do what I want. But actually, I thrive in routine. And when I can create that for myself, it just gives me a foundation to be able to jump off of. And at the moment, what I'm doing is I don't I spend the first part of the day with myself and really just doing my thing, and I'll start work at like 11 or 12, and it was 11, and now I'm like thinking I need to push it to 12 at the moment, just because I'm a little bit tired. I've got all this health stuff happening right now, and I'm like, just push the brakes a bit, Steph. So then in the morning, I'll exercise. I'll just faff around. Well, maybe go lay in the sun on the balcony, or like, just faff, which is very necessary, I think, for my brain to just have a little faff. Like this morning I was like painting and writing and like, painting something that's not even like, I'm not going to share it, but it's just like, just painting to process. And then definitely a bit of exercise like I said, I've got some health stuff at the moment, so I can't exercise as much as I want to. And then the rest of my day, I don't have a lot of structure in the work part of my day, only that I am working from about 11, 12 till about 5 or 6 in a weekday is when I work, and I always take the weekend off. I used to work over the weekends, but I just can't at the moment. And I really just have to stick to that and be like, no, and hold my boundaries with myself around it, to not work outside the hours that I set for myself. Otherwise I burn out, and a burnt out Steph is no help to anybody. So that's pretty much like the crux of the routine. And whatever I'm working on in that, 5-6 hour window from midday-ish to 5 or 6, is what I'll be doing. And that could be like making a sales page, that could be listing things, that could be talking to clients, that could be doing podcasts, that could be creating content, any of those things. That's pretty like free whenever it comes. But yeah, it's definitely that chunk of time is when I work. So yeah, that's the routine.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has like a different times of day where they thrive creatively. And I think working and communicating and stuff like that, I think it also is, like we talked about, part of that creative process. Like you put on music, you're kind of like in a zone, right? Like even when you're working on, like my web designer, she's like listens to like dance party, hard rave music, and she's in her zone because that's how she works. And so everyone has their like window where they're, and I think it's totally different for everyone. Like there's the 5 a.m. club people, which I don't think I'll ever. I don't know. I mean, like it sounds nice because it is nice to be up before your kids, but I'm just like, also it seems impossible. Maybe at a different season of my life. Also sleep. Sleep is actually my number one personal priority. And of course downtime, but like at night, like creativity is flowing for like writing for me. And in the morning, my brain is firing really hard. So like if there's like tasks, it's like I love in the morning just like getting up and like tackling. I love communicating with others, and I don't know why it took me so long to admit that. Like I love speaking. I love, going to meetings, which I don't know how many people like are like, yes, I can't wait for my meeting. But I mean, it is like who you surround yourself with, because a lot of my meetings are with incredible people in my community. So like basically I know
so them. you want to be around them, right?
And if you don't have those beautiful relationships, you got to double think, or double think. That's not a saying. Think twice about, what you're doing, and because it's not work when it's your passion, like nothing can stop you. You're like obsessed.
Yeah. I would argue though, it probably will feel like work at some points to anyone listening.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
That whole
That's where the discipline comes in.
you'll never work a day in your life if you follow your passion. It's like, actually, no, you're
No,
gonna work.
that's not what I'm saying. No, definitely not what I'm saying at all. It's just like, it's the balance of it's like work and play, but all at once. But like, you're not, what does Mark Manson say from The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck? Everything sucks some of the time. That's what he says.
I love it. I love him. He's so real.
You just have to decide. You just have to decide where you want the suck to be. Like, that's it.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. I think it's such a freeing thing to realize. It's so freeing to me to be like, oh, okay. So it's gonna be hard. It's gonna suck sometimes. And have you seen Jonah Hill's documentary Stutz?
Yes.
Yeah. What's his thing? It's like hard work, uncertainty. Fuck, I can't remember. It's something uncertainty and constant work. The only three things that we can be 100% sure that are going to happen is something, uncertainty, and constant work. So we just decide what we want to have that constant work and that uncertainty about, and acknowledge that that's going to happen and forge on anyway. It's kind of a similar vein to what Mark Manson says. And I think it's important. And I want to actually just bring back what we were talking about with the routine thing, and talk about the like the idea that there's like this ultimate morning routine, or there's this ultimate, like, if you do this is what successful people do. They wake up at 4 a.m. and they're in the gym for 3 hours, and then they are listening to audiobooks, and they don't drink coffee, and they only drink matcha, and like just all this bullshit. And it's actually none of it's true. It's like, actually there are successful people everywhere that are so unhealthy. Like, it's not a marker. I think it's like, it's the better question to ask is like, what do you want your day to look like? What is the best way for you to thrive? And I think both of us seem to have figured out what our routine is that makes us thrive.
I do, but my kids fuck it up a lot.
Oh no, that's a whole other thing, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, it's a whole nother season, and I work around it because, of course, I always forget to mention. Everyone's like, but you also like are a parent. I was like, well, yeah, like that just goes without saying. Because I'm like, I got this, and this and going on, but they're also like, but you're also parenting. I was like, right.
Wow.
But like, I know that. Everyone knows that.
Yes. I take my hat off to you.
It's just like adjusting around. And it is like, it's a circus, no doubt. Because like you can't sit in a routine. There is no time off, like, ever. There's no like, I'm not gonna work this week. I have to work in like the tiny window where like my husband gets home, and I'm like, I have 1 hour between 6 and 7 where he baths the 3-year-old, and I would like go and just like, or draw, or like whatever it is, and like that, and then that window like moves around like throughout the years. And I wrote a book with 15 minutes a day, and that was Jeff's advice too. He was such a great, because he has 3 kids, and he's like, he saw me on the street. It's so funny. Teddy was riding his little strider bike, and he's like, don't try to write it all at once. It was just like a random street talk. Don't try to write it all at once. Just like shoot for 15 minutes a day. I was like, okay, see you later, Jeff.
That.
Yeah. Wow, and I wrote a whole book in like a year and some. Yeah.
That's
because
amazing.
Like, it's just like a mind dump, and you put it all together. Yeah. Like, of course it took a bit longer to like stitch it all together, but it was like a patch quilt of ideas and theories and advice and and experiences. And seriously, anyone can, if they work 15 minutes to like a day, like, and that can mean anything of like small windows of time. Yeah. And I loved that Stutz documentary, and loved what he talked about with the pyramid of self-care first. Like, you have to figure out your own shit first, like, or nothing's gonna work if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not like you gotta start, and then it starts. Then you're ready for relationships, and then you're ready to like hit the thrive top of the period or pyramid, not your period. Also, there's that for women. There's certain parts of your period.
A whole other thing.
There's certain parts where you're thriving, and there's certain parts where you're not, and you gotta honor them.
And the routine goes out the window.
Yeah. You're like, I guess I'm gonna lay in sweats and feel sorry for myself for at least 2 days.
100%. Oh my God, 100%. 100%.
But mind you, mushrooms have helped for myself with that a lot.
Really?
Not psychedelics. And I know I have to clarify because people are like, what you talking about? You're a parent and you're just popping psychedelics throughout the day. I feel like that's dangerous. Yeah, mushrooms have helped me stay like more like steady.
Which ones?
I drink chaga all day, like just soak. Chaga is easy because it doesn't taste like anything. It's like you're drinking water. You're just like, you just have it sitting on the counter, soaking in. It looks gross. It's so gross. Chaga's just soaking all the time. Even my sons grab it and drink it. So there's nothing wrong.
That's great.
There's nothing risky like about it at all. It just has great qualities. If at the end of the day you don't believe in that stuff, you're getting some minerals, right? Like it's just a root and it's sitting in your water. And literally it has no taste. So it's pretty cool. And then you can get like different blends. You can get the different blends in like a pill. You can get, my naturopath started me and I did not believe her at all. She was like, this is gonna like, we're gonna help try to balance your hormones, but it'll chill you out a bit. I was like, girl, they're sure. I'm like, I don't think I think you're like way out to lunch, but like I don't believe you at all. And then a month after, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because normally I'm like, every woman knows like the lead up is like, you're like, how am I gonna get through life? And I'm not saying it's the solution, but I just feel a bit better, and I will take a bit better over not. So like lion's mane, reishi, chaga, they all have the same like 5 blend mushroom, like mudwater. Have you heard of mudwater? Maybe not over there.
Actually, I think I've seen it. I saw it in the shop the other day.
Oh, really? Yeah,
it's like
so
black,
they're going into drinks and stuff now. It's just like everyone's mixing that 5 good mushroom blend, and you'll see it when you see it. I'm not advertising on my podcast or anything. It's just really honestly worked for me as a woman. Like I think Harmonic Arts Mushrooms also has the blend, but it's like it tastes like mushrooms. So also that's where I started. And but it's like kind of gross because you're like just scooping some mushrooms in that taste like mushrooms. Totally. The mudwater is like disguised in matcha. So at least and like a turmeric golden milk kind of. Yeah. So there's so many options. Well,
if you're in Australia, even AG1 does. There's Super Feast is a good brand in Australia for that. I don't think you can get it outside Australia, but I imagine if people from my audience come and listen to this, there'll be probably a lot of people from Australia listening. So Super Feast is a great brand. Yes. Anything that helps. I don't do drugs or alcohol because I did for years and I abused them. So same.
Not a lot of drugs, but
I did.
Definitely a lot of alcohol. And I've been sober for a long time because I just like realized I'm like, I am fun enough. Like I don't need anything extra. Not even like I don't need anything extra.
Totally. I still will,
which is fine. I'm not.
Like,
if I'm out for fancy dinner, I treat myself.
Yeah.
And not saying that like there's any like if I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I just like it was a life adjustment, and motherhood did not suit. There's no time for a hangover. At all.
I totally get that.
It's like a whole nother level of looking after yourself, because there's just no room for no energy, right? Like there's just like, you need that energy. And like you said, when you're in your routine, you're thriving.
Yeah.
When you're taking care of yourself,
100%.
you're thriving.
100%.
And
my God.
I don't think there's anything wrong with like sharing that with people, that, you know, this is really hard, and it takes a lot of energy and discipline to decide that you care enough about yourself that you want the best things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like the ultimate form of self-care. And in order to bring about these businesses and these vocations and these things that we do, like, we need that foundation. And I mean, I also don't want to pretend that it's not something that I struggle with. Like, you know, health is such a big journey, and yeah, it definitely has its ups and downs, but we forge on anyway, you know? It's like, well, fuck off, health, I want this, so I'm going to do my thing anyway, and you can catch up or not.
Yeah, and there's ebbs and flows to health, no doubt. Like that's another 100%. Podcast in general. My sister owns a yoga, like a hot yoga studio, and she was doing TikTok videos, and she sent me the video, and her toe, like you can hear it hit the ground and like crack. And so like it's just health ebbs and flows. And she was like, I was feeling so good. I was like, TikTok's dangerous. And it's like, you know, we have these moments.
Broke her toe, right?
It's just really, it's like big and purple and like up her foot. I don't know if I don't think she went to the hospital. She's just like, it's right. Straightish.
It's just my toe. No one
wants.
Yeah, no one wants like to go balance of my whole body.
Yeah, I just go on teaching yoga.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, but no. Okay, where can everyone find all of your content and your social media and your website? Where can everyone find you?
I am on Instagram and TikTok at stephanie.rose.freeman. On Instagram, I also have another account that's just my art that I've moved everything over there. So that's stephanie.freeman.artist. No, sorry, stephanie.rose.freeman.artist. My website is stephanierosefreeman.com, and also if you check out the link in my bio on my TikTok or on my Instagram, you'll find, you know, my Thriving Artist book, which is like $4.99, and a bunch of other probably bundles or just little goodies for you in my Insta bio.
Perfect. One more final question, sponsored by Red Bicycle Communications. I want you to describe your ideal perfect day. A day in the life.
Day. A perfect day looks like waking up whenever I want and taking my time, going for a walk in nature, magically being transported. Let's just like go all out there. Magically being transported and not having to drive to nature. Going for a walk, sitting by a waterfall, and just being there in nature and not having to worry about coming back because I got magically transported there and I will magically get transported back. And just being gentle, like hanging with friends, being soft on my system, maybe having a picnic, maybe chilling out in a park, making out with friends, doing a dinner party with some friends, just being around people that I love, doing fun stuff. And bonus points if multiple fun things can happen at once. If we can combine, like, you know, making art and having a picnic together, or if we can watch a movie while being in a spa in nature, like all of those things combined make a peak experience for me. So if as many of those fun things can happen as once, and maybe ending the day with like dinner at a beautiful restaurant and some really good sex, I think would be great. That's a perfect day for me.
Ah, beautiful. I love your answer because it makes you're like so nostalgic. You're like, yes, that sounds amazing. It's like has this like endorphin. You're like connecting back to the root parts of what life is really about and why we do what we do.
Yeah, it's true.
Connecting back to our purpose so we can get to those moments, right?
Yes, 100%. And you know what? I think if you had asked me that like even 3 weeks before this, it would have been a totally different answer. But I've had such a shift in priorities recently that I'm like, no, this is actually what I want.
Oh, great. Well, it was super nice to meet you. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And
thank you for having me.
We'll have to stay in touch. I can't believe I thought for some reason because people were recommending like I don't remember how or why they were recommending you, but where this circle like met. But I can't wait for you to fall into my creative circle because I just think they'll all love you. And it is so great because we do all lift each other up, and it's like a powerful group of creative women. For example, my friend Lindsay just moved her family during the pandemic from Canada to Belize and like to start an artist residency. And like her and her partner were like too high paying. She was in like business and he was like a builder, and like two high paying careers, and they're just like they had like experienced a trauma, and yeah, they just like it's just such a beautiful circle of people that have like taken on life like fearlessly, and but admittedly saying this wasn't easy, but I had to do it. So and we all like chat all the time, so I'm very excited. So I hope we can be friends.
Okay, so I really love that last question that's sponsored by Red Bicycle Communications, because I seriously want to, when everyone, it's like fear, no, Sir, I'm not talking to you. It's fear of missing out, FOMO. When everyone says they're like ideal perfect day, I was like, my ideal perfect day is getting out of hand. It's like, yes, actually, I would like to transport my body to Paris for a croissant also, but be at the ocean, but also be with my family, but also watch the sunset, but also go on a cruise, but also make music together in a circle. Like, it's just like every time I truly am transported into, their day, and it really strips down what is important to everyone in their life as a human being on this earth. And just every time I hear the answers, it makes my day. And I have the most beautiful, wonderful guests that come on. They're so fantastic. So again, you can sign up for if you want to be inspired, you can sign up for our weekly inspiration newsletter. It's very well received. Even my sister likes it, and she's my toughest critic. She's like, I look forward, honestly, to Sunday night, and she's my sister, and we're really close in age, so like for us to 1000% agree on things all the time, it's like she's one of those people. She's just like, I'm like, I never know how she's gonna take what I'm doing or saying, because we used to get in like, yeah, if you have a sibling, anyways, she even enjoys my weekly inspiration newsletter. So that is saying something. One of my life's harshest critics, who doesn't always agree with me, enjoys my inspirational advice. And so sign up, brandyhofer.ca. You can also join our Color Me Happy community, where we share like every Wednesday what you're working on. And we're all creative. Like, gosh, if you're in advertising, you can be working on something creative and share it in the community. I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want to hear your story. And then, of course, we feature our members on the podcast, and then we feature them in the community as well. And it's growing, and it's such a beautiful group of people. And it's not overwhelming either. And it's like perfect, and I love it. It's like a group in their honeymoon stage. I appreciate you being here. I'm also going to mention, I always click and pull it up. Thank you to Oasis Hot Yoga and Spin Studio. It truly is an oasis in our community, and we always talk about self-care, and that is number one. And I think I talked about it in this podcast too, is it's like the foundation of you got to do you first. In my stories at Brand New Hope Studios on Instagram, there's this great thing by Schitt's Creek, like Moira, Rose, and David. And David's like, you have to sacrifice things for your children. And Moira responds with like, if airplane security has taught me anything, it is to, oh my gosh, I probably can just pull it up because I'm really screwing it up hard. No one likes a requote from... No one likes a quote from here we go. I got it.
Their children before themselves.
Oh, really? No, if airplane safety videos have taught me anything, David, it's that a mother puts her own mask on first.
Mothers, put your own masks on first. That is like the greatest. So Nouveau Laser and Aesthetics, and my kids are fucking yelling in the background. I just realized it's probably been that way the whole time. I just literally can't hear it anymore. So that's amazing. The order, this is a myth and fact from Nouveau. The order you apply your skincare products doesn't matter. Okay, that's the myth. Let's see the fact here. Apply your skincare products from thinnest consistency to thickest and help them absorb properly. Cleanse, tone, serum, moisturizer, SPF, makeup. My favorite thing that I got from Nouveau is, let me remember the name, Color Science. It's actually SPF and makeup mixed together, and they have color like bead technology that matches your skin. And I went from being a non-makeup wearer to this magic mask that it just like covers up the tired and acne scars on my face and makes me glow. But it's sunscreen, and so it's like literally no work. It takes probably 24 seconds, not even, to throw on, and I am so obsessed and addicted. It's almost one of those things where you stock up with it, like just in case there's some sort of thing that happens and their like factory burns down and you can never get it again. I want to like stock up on this shit for life because I have a weird olive skin tone that goes really, really nice in the winter. I live in a place with very not great sunlight in the winter, so I get like green pale. And anyway, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love you being here and listening to my rants over random stuff for sure. I'm so happy to have you here. Make sure if you are wanting to get into murals or you're creative and looking to expand your practice, we have all sorts of new courses. We have the new mural course out, and we have our portrait class as well, which is by far our most popular class with the best feedback. Like everyone loves it, and I love seeing like portraits that are beautiful and people are connecting to this new talent that they have, because it's really straightforward and easy in this course, even if you've never done it before. We have some tricks for you up our sleeve, not up our sleeve, but in the class. So that's our portrait class at brandnewhofer.ca. And thank you so much for being here, friends. We sure do appreciate your time, and we hope that you can see your everyday ordinary as extraordinary, as we say in our book, that we love sharing with the world. It was a lot of work, but we're happy it's out there. So check that out. Okay, bye.
If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it.